Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our post-cabinet media briefing. This morning, we're pleased to have the Minister without Portfolio in the Office of the Prime Minister and the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, the Honorable Carl Samuda, who now has responsibility for the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, as well as the Minister of Culture, Gender, Sports, Entertainment, right? So many things. MCGs, Minister Olivia Grange. Thank you all for coming. A very good morning to you once again. Did I hear a good morning from everybody in the audience? Okay, sounds like we need some water in the voice boxes. All right, so without further ado, let me ask Minister Carl Samuda to present on cabinet deliberations over the past few weeks. Followed by, we'll have Minister Grange presenting on issues concerning the upcoming Emancipation and Independence celebrations, after which we'll take questions from members of the media. The Honorable Carl Samuda, Minister.
Thank you very much, Naomi. Welcome, everyone. I will start with a matter dealing with the Integrity Commission. Cabinet has given approval for the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service to design a fee structure for payment to the members of the Integrity Commission. You know, that has been a matter in the news recently. The Commission has convened approximately 22 meetings since the establishment on February 23rd, 2018, and members have not received remuneration for their services since that appointment. That is as I have read it. Second item, the establishment of the Caribbean Regional School of Art. Cabinet has given approval for the Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts to play a leading role in the development of the Caribbean Regional School of Art. Caribbean Regional School of Art will be housed at the Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts. And in this regard, let me just say that it is our intention to collaborate with Minister Grange, who is steeped in the issue of art and all that implies. This began in 2020 until a facility will begin in 2020 until a facility is constructed in the Montego Bay St. James location. An implementation committee is to be put in place to advance the plans for the establishment of the school. 3, the establishment of University of the West Indies, Antigua and Barbuda campus. This was a hotly debated subject, and eventually a decision was made to give support in principle to the establishment of this school, this campus, with the understanding that it would not lead to additional expenditure on the part of the existing member states who support the University of the West Indies and the existing campuses, Barbados, Cape Hill, and Trinidad and Tobago. It has agreed that Jamaica will not object to the establishment of the university. Initially, it was felt that it was necessary for us to examine very carefully all the implications and the possible costs down the road. A conclusion was arrived at that the government of Antigua and Barbuda would finance the entire cost of establishing the campus, and it was therefore agreed that we would support it. But there is an implementation committee at the term PS that will include Barbados, Trinidad, and Jamaica to ensure that the implementation of the campus is conducted in a manner consistent with what are the objectives and what has been agreed by the member states. Closure of the Jamaican embassy in Kuwait. Cabinet has given approval for the closure of the Jamaica embassy in Kuwait effective June 1, 2019. The decision was taken as the presence of the Jamaican embassy in Kuwait has not made any contribution to the objective of the government of Jamaica to grow its economy and create jobs for Jamaicans. In other words, we established the embassy, but we have not seen any concrete benefit that has accrued to Jamaica since its establishment. This, of course, will be served by our embassy in our High Commission in London, where our High Commission will visit if necessary and from time to time. The government also took into consideration the cost to Jamaica, both financial and human resources, to operate the Jamaican embassy in Kuwait, and compared to the minimal benefits that have so far accrued as a result of the establishment of that embassy. The next item is the deferred nomination of Port Royal to the United Nations Education, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, World Heritage List. Cabinet has given approval for the deferral of the nomination of Port Royal to the UNESCO World Heritage List for 1 year. This deferment will allow for a submission of a less restrictive nomination. In other words, that gives us greater freedom to develop Port Royal in a manner consistent with the overall objectives of establishing Port Royal as a heritage site and at the same time as a tourism attraction. The revised nomination file will be adjusted to refer only to, what is this, criterion 4, Babsy? Yeah. In fact, Minister Grange, any questions you have in relation to the UNESCO the recognition can be addressed by Minister Grange, who was the minister who led this process. The appointment to the FLA Review Board. Cabinet has given approval for the reappointment of the Review Board to the Firearms Licensing Authority, FLA, for a period of 3 years. The board reviews the decisions taken by the authority on the request of aggrieved parties. The members are as follows: the Honorable Justice Seymour Panton, OJ, Chairman, retired Supreme Court Judge; Ms. Caroline Hay, retired Senior Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions; and Mr. Kelso Small, retired Superintendent of Police. The next item, enterprise team to oversee the privatization of the Jamaica Mortgage Bank. As you're all aware, it is the intention of the government to divest the Jamaica Mortgage Bank. Cabinet has given approval for the formation of an enterprise team to oversee the privatization of the Jamaica Mortgage Bank, JMB, and for the Development Bank of Jamaica as to act as a transition manager. The enterprise team will lead the privatization process of the Jamaica Mortgage Bank and will comprise of a maximum of 7 recommended members from the following organizations: the DBJ, representative from the board to chair the enterprise team; the Jamaica Mortgage Bank, chairman of the board; Ministry of Finance and Public Service, Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, the office, and finally the Office of the Prime Minister, the Public Service Transportation Implementation Unit, the Attorney General's Chamber, and the commercial task force. The public will be made aware of the members of the enterprise team once the members have been approved by the cabinet. So each organization will nominate their members. It will be brought to the cabinet for final approval, and you'll be advised the moment the cabinet signs off on the membership. The next item, award of contract to Astrom Building Systems Limited. Cabinet has given approval for the award of a contract by the National Housing Trust to Astrom Building Systems Limited for the building and civil infrastructure works at Phase 4 of the Twickenham Park housing development in St. Catherine. Under the contract, which is valued at 1.2 billion, Astrom will construct 110 two-bedroom, single-story duplex units over a 16-month period. This is consistent with our drive to build out homes that are appropriate for the people of Jamaica. The company will also undertake supporting civil infrastructure works to include roadways, stormwater, drainage systems, potable water distribution systems, sewage network, emergency procurement, and other important aspects of the development. Next item will be the emergency procurement of a pilot boat. Cabinet has given approval for the emergency procurement of a pilot boat for service to the public and private port facilities in and around the Port of Kingston. The fiberglass pilot boat will be procured by the Port Authority of Jamaica, PBCJ, from Danim, Dashin shipyards, Gorinchem, Gorincom, or whatever it is pronounced, Gorincagm. They say it is pronounced Gorincom, at a cost of $1.5 million CIF. The vessel is expected to arrive at the end of August 2019. Two pilot boats were purchased from the company in 2018. However, one was damaged in an accident in April 2019 and deemed uneconomical to repair by the company. The boat that is being purchased will replace the damaged vessel. Compulsory pilot service is required by law in the Port of Jamaica, whereby marine pilots who are employed to the PBCJ are responsible for guiding the movement of ships in Jamaican waters. You all know that once a ship reaches a certain point in Jamaican waters, pilots go aboard, and from there on, they take control of the vessel until it is docked. That is on entry and departure. PEP report tabled in Parliament. Yesterday I tabled the national report on the primary exit profile PEP in Parliament. Comprehensive report. I don't know if you have a copy. Did you bring a copy? Yeah, we should give them copies really, because it was tabled in the Parliament. And it consists of all the questions you have been asking and the ones that you are yearning to ask is contained in there. Yesterday I tabled that report and everyone has now got a copy of it. Among other things, the report gives an answer, all the answers to the questions that have so far been posed. PEP requires students to demonstrate their knowledge with greater emphasis on how the child has gotten to the answer. It has eliminated the possibilities or the likelihood that you, well, in fact, I wouldn't say it has eliminated likelihood, it has made it practically impossible for the child to swat overnight and get a substantial mark, because the tests are designed in such a way that each question requires a certain amount of independent thought and the ability to reason, because it's trying to test the child's capacity to reason, because that is the level of preparation we need to make, so that the child can take his or her place in any institution going forward on the basis of their reasoning ability and not on their memory and their ability to swat an exam overnight and get a big mark. We are confident that PEP is a much better indicator of students' ability, and its reporting structure has given us more detailed information which we will use to intervention strategies, so that we can pinpoint areas of weakness. This is what this test does. It's not just a test to get into school, but a test to assess the strengths and weaknesses of every child. And so we can focus on special teachers who will direct their attention to the areas that the child is experiencing some deficiency, so that we will get that child up to scratch. That applies all through the entire national cohort. And so specially trained teachers have been taken on board, and we are continuing to recruit more and train more, because the time has come to cauterize the steady, growing situation where children are stuck in at a particular level, get frustrated, go into areas that may not even be appropriate for them. In this way, we hope to bring the entire cohort up to a level that is acceptable nationally. The PEP also enables us to take our place in the international educational community, so that when we go to international conferences to talk about education and we give them the scores that we have achieved and where we are in education in all areas, essential areas, English language, mathematics, science, and social services, and the ability to reason. Once we take our place at that table, we can stand on our own international with pride, because the level of assessment is universal. So we're not talking about a little bright child who has studied overnight and get a big mark, or a couple of them that get special treatment. This is a clear and honest reflection of the state of readiness, the level of training that our children have responded to. And so I think this is a game changer for this country of ours. I'm going to now ask, well, you want to do the intro because Minister Grange would like to come in here and give us an explosive presentation of what is to come.
Thank you, Minister Samoda, for that update on Cabinet deliberations over the past few weeks. May I take the opportunity as well to acknowledge the presence of some of the technical teams from both ministries, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, Dr. Grace McLean, along with the now Chief Education Officer, Ms. Winnie Berry, and members of the team from the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, and of course from the Jamaica Cultural Development Commission, who are here. Thank you so much for being with us. Now may I invite Minister Grange to give us an overview. Yesterday she attended, I beg your pardon, yesterday she presented in the debate in Parliament, and now she will give a synopsis and of course announce plans for the celebrations of emancipation and independence. Minister Grange.
Thank you, Naomi. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. And I just want to especially acknowledge Minister Samoda. I will first speak to plans for our independence celebrations. This year, we are celebrating our 57th anniversary of independence under the theme, One Nation, One People. The theme draws on our national motto and speaks to the great strides that we have made as a nation, with people from diverse roots working together to create the Jamaica that we have today. We have a hectic calendar of activities across the country that will keep us very busy and keep us entertained over the emancipation independence season. And it will also be an opportune time to reflect. This morning, I will take you through the main activities and then take your questions. In the past, we had an activity called the Pop and Variety program. We have now rebranded it to call it the Big Stage. And this is a program that runs parallel with the Festival Song Competition. This is a program out of which we unearth popular talent, people in popular music, dance, comedy, and the various popular forms. So we currently have big stage finals taking place in every parish. This is a competition formerly known, as I said, as Open Variety, and it gives talented persons in a wide range of disciplines a chance to showcase their talent and compete for cash and other prizes. And I should tell you that at one point in this competition, there was the DJ contest, which is now referred to as dancehall. And out of the pop and variety and DJ competition, we now have some stars like Yellow Man, Tony Rebel, Papa Biggie, and others. Then I move on to the festival song. This Saturday, July 27, we will be having the festival song final at the Randy Williams Entertainment Center, and we start sharply at 7 p.m. The final promises to be a closely contested and exciting affair. This slate of 11 contestants all feel that they have a great chance of winning the top prize, and they've all gone all out in terms of preparation. You will notice I said 11. We normally promote the top 10, but we selected this year a wild card. So we have 11 contestants. Now I must tell you, having seen them on the road as they undertook a road tour across the country, they reminded me of the good old days of festival, with supporters coming out in numbers, waving placards and singing along with their favorite contestants. This year, the finals will be quite interesting. Last year, after a one-year break in 2017, I promised to make the festival bigger and better. And we had a great contest last year with a ding-dong battle final. I think this year is going to be even greater. One of the points I must emphasize is the interest shown by young people in the competition. The youngest contestant this year is 19 years old, and we also have seasoned performers who help to create a great mix. And what's also good about this contest that it encourages original works. And there are some well-established big-name artists who have already indicated that they will be involved in next year's competition, either as songwriters or participants. Now, as was the case last year, this year the performer of the winning song will take home $1 million. And the writer of the winning song will also get $1 million. $1 million. And if the singer is the writer, then it's bonanza, $2 million. And it is deliberately done that way to encourage songwriting and to encourage songwriters. This year we will have second and third place as well as sectional prizes, including best vocalist, best performer, and best on social media. And I understand that one of the contestants have already gone over 50,000, right? On social media. It's really going to be an interesting finals. For every contestant, each will receive $100,000 to assist in their preparation for the road shows and the finals. Festival song is a big deal, ladies and gentlemen. The longest running competition, song competition in the history of Jamaica. Originally conceptualized by the most Honorable Edward Seaga, who suggested this contest be introduced as the one thing that would galvanize the entire nation, that would be on the lips of every man, woman, and child. And it has served its purpose. The information relating to the contestants, their names, and the titles of their songs, I will not go into that because that information is available. On July 30, when our celebrations officially begin, we will have the Governor General's reception at King's House, and it's by invitation. But this is an occasion when Jamaicans from all walks of life will be the Governor General's guest. and the diplomatic corps and international organizations here in Jamaica will also have a chance to be hosted by the Governor General and to be able to meet Jamaicans of many persuasions. Then, July 31, we will have emancipation vigils across the country. But the major event will be the Jubilee at Seville Heritage Park in St. Anne. As is customary, we will gather and pay tribute to the ancestors, those who were enslaved, and those who paved the way for us. And it is a very symbolic but extremely important occasion when we will have floral tributes to 3 enslaved Africans whose remains were found at the back of the Great House, that we removed and put to the front of the Great House. And in fact, another enslaved individual, the remains of another enslaved individual was their origin was tracked to Ghana, and the remains were sent back to Ghana, and they also observe July 31 simultaneously as we observe the occasion here in Jamaica. Yes, the DNA was, yes. Now, August morning, August 1, again, after slavery was proclaimed that we were now emancipated, August morning we celebrated. And we will be celebrating August morning similarly to how it was celebrated at that time. Our village will be officially opened, and we will have grand market. We will have good Jamaican food, and the country and those in the corporate area especially, you're invited to come and have breakfast August morning. Some good Jamaican food will be prepared. That evening, we will crown the queen. Our festival queen will be crowned. There are 13 ladies, each representing a parish, will compete for the crown. The Festival Queen Contest remains the most viable platform for culturally aware young women to get exposure. The contest focuses on the strong qualities of the individuals and pulls out of the very brightest and best of Jamaican women. We have seen winners of the contest go on to become leaders in the society, such as Jenny, Delia Harris, and others. Last year, we had a spectacular final with Miss St. Mary, Akira Gowie claiming the title. Then we go on July 2nd to the World Reggae Dance, and this is one of the most popular activities during our celebrations. Dancers from across July 2nd. August 2nd. August 2nd, it says July 2nd here, sorry. August 2nd. So dancers from across the country and overseas will compete in the World Reggae Dance Championship at the national arena. And I understand that this year we have contestants from as far as Germany competing with our local performers. On August 3, there will be a family favorite. The family favorite event will take place, and that is Melaga Round in the national arena. And this is where we showcase the best performers from the National Festival of the Performing Arts. I don't know if you're aware that annually we have a Festival of Arts competition, which training begins in September prior, and then we unearth the talent, train the talent, and have the contest going on through February to June, where the winners are then showcased during our independence celebrations. And this is where you hear people boast about winning gold medals, silver medals, and bronze. Of course, as a country that is very religious, we always ensure that there's a national religious event. And so our national church service this year is on August 4. We will have the National Independence Church Service at the Faith Deliverance Cathedral on Waltham Park Road. And all are invited to join us for a service of thanksgiving as we give God thanks for 57 years of independence. The speaker I'm sorry, go ahead. It's this Sunday, July 28th. Yes, my information here is not quite accurate. So it is this Sunday at the Faith Cathedral. And this is Bishop Harold Blair's church. And the keynote speaker on this occasion is the Reverend Everton Thomas of the Emmanuel Apostolic Church. Our gospel song finals will be held at the National Arena. And this is also another event that is extremely popular. And we have been able to unearth talent such as Kevin Downswell, Edwin Myers, Lubert Levy, and Candy Isaacs. Kingston is not Jamaica, and so we ensured that in Western Jamaica we have a number of activities. So there will be the Western Gala, as well as a festival village. The festival village will open on the 1st and continue through to the 6th. And then there will be the Western Gala on the 4th. We will have a vigil in Samshop Square on July 31. In the Independence Village in Kingston at Independence Park, we will have lunch hour concerts throughout the week. And then the big day, the Grand Gala, August 6th. We will have the much anticipated Grand Gala. This year, the gala will serve as the start of our observation of the decade for people of African descent. Our special guest this year will be the President of Kenya, President Uhuru Kenyatta, who will be here on a state visit. This year, we will also, at the gala, honor two of our celebrated entertainers. In the past, we have honored Jimmy Cliff, Damian Marley, and others. And this year, we will be honoring Rita Marley and Sizzla. Some of the artists who will be performing will be Marion Hall, formerly Lady Soul, Coffee, Sister Pat, and Kukudu. This year's gala, we were allocated $85 million compared to last year, which was $77 million. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the information available at this time regarding our independence celebrations. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. And of course, the Minister's announcement on independence celebrations come on the heels of her presentation in Parliament yesterday. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's your time to ask questions. We've done this several times. I'd like to remind you of the ground rules, that you raise your hand, you wait to be acknowledged. Once you are acknowledged and we give you the microphone, we ask that you stand, identify yourself and your media entity, and ask your question. And we will respond as best as possible. And so the caveat I had given earlier, there is a tour of Hope projects this morning by the Prime Minister. It actually starts at 10. I'm looking at the time, but we will have an exciting Q&A prior to going, and you all can see the time. So, by a show of hands, are there any questions this morning? Recognize at the back in the white.
Carol Walker, loopjamaica.com. My question is to you, Mr. Samuda. You mentioned the payment, let me get it right here, to members of the Integrity Commission. You did not give us an amount. Exactly how much money will the taxpayers be paying to these people for these 22 meetings that they have not been paid for? So you didn't give us a figure.
I don't have that information. That hasn't been really determined yet. But what has been determined is that the payment will be made. But the actual quantity has not been disclosed as yet.
So recall that we need to acknowledge you and then you ask your question. So yes, the microphone will come to you. And then we go on this side. All right.
Minister.
Yes, go ahead.
Minister Samuda.
But you haven't identified yourself, please.
Oh, but I see. I don't understand.
Yes.
It don't make sense.
No, you do. Go ahead.
I hope that Canada, then Envision Newspaper Canada. Mr. Samuda, you mentioned that PEP will get international or equal recognition as a result of the type of assessment or how the scores have been allocated. Just explain it. It's a clarification.
No, well, we have moved away from absolute numbers out of 100, a percentage. So that when a child took an exam before, it would be out of 100. So it would be on a curriculum that they could, and they had gotten so, it's like when you're giving somebody antibiotics, you get like immune to antibiotics, so it doesn't have much effect on you. So they get so accustomed to the curriculum and so on and so forth that they would just swat it and knock it off, and they would get high marks, specific marks. This system is a different system where each category, various areas, language, math, science, social services, social studies, are separated and they are weighted. It's a statistical measurement. So they are weighted according to what is determined as the value of that particular subset. And on the basis of that weighting, when the child takes the exam in maths based on the curriculum, and all of these, then whatever marks they get, it's not the elimination of the marking system, but whatever marks they get is determined as part of the overall score for the child, the performance of the child. So for argument's sake, if you're going to, if a subject is weighted with 50%, you apply 50% of the total final mark to that subject, and 30 to another, and 10 to another, and so on. The marks achieved is consistent with that weighting, and at the end you have an overall mark dependent on how well they did in each. But it's not a separate mark. I'd say, well, in maths you got 90%. But that has to be weighted so that at the end, the child is able to get a performance mark, which then is a measurement of that child's arriving at a particular level of proficiency, rather than individual scores. And when we take that measurement, and it's not done by individual marks, it's done in a scale. So instead of a child being told that you got 90% in math and 20% in English, you don't get that anymore. You get a scale, which a child is within that scale.
And that will determine your placement?
And each scale, each area is divided into beginning, developing, proficient, and highly proficient.
Okay.
So that a child that is in the beginning category is a child that has not reached a level that can really be considered ready to enter high school. That child needs special attention, and that child will then be placed in a school, not that it's going to be held back, be placed in a school and receive special attention by trained teachers who are going to be guiding them, so that eventually what we will see based on this measurement method, we will be able to focus and get children up to a level that equates with the rest of the country. That's the objective.
I'm finally on the PEP situation.
So you understand the difference between the absolute mark and the
man,
swatting and the big mark
Yeah, man.
versus...
I was attentive.
All
to
right,
what you said. On page 16, the last paragraph of page 16 of this document that was circulated to me, there was some manual placement. Does this affect the objectivity of the student because of this manual placement?
I think the manual, but the permanent secretary there, she can explain, but the manual placement that I understand is where, for instance, you have several students who don't take all the exams.
Yes.
So they're not able to be assessed.
Okay.
And they didn't select any choices. So they're just sort of in a state of limbo. You don't know, determine what is their plan. They have not fulfilled all the requirements. And so what the ministry then does is not leave them behind and dump them in a place. Right?
Yeah.
But
To make an assessment.
They take a look back, they do an assessment, and then they manually place them in schools suitable within a geographical area.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Mr. Denny. We have to manage the time quite well. I recognize Mr. Dawkins on this side. Real quickly.
Nick Dawkins, Alger News.
Yes.
Given the report from the Auditor General into the operations of the Ministry of Education with the Caribbean Maritime University, one, what corrective measures will be put in place? Two, what has accounted for the breakdown in the procurement guidelines? And three, will anyone be held accountable?
Nick, thank you for the question. Just to ensure that we are all on the same page, the report actually spanned the period 2012 to 2018 or 19, I believe, PS?
Yes.
2019. So 2012 to 2019, that's the entire period that we're looking at. Yes.
All right, now, the fact of the matter is it's irrefutable that enough attention was not paid to the procurement process. And the actions of the ministry were not consistent with the proper procurement, adherence to proper procurement policies. And the reason for this, as explained to me by the minister, is that in many of the instances what we found was the condition of the facilities that were to be repaired were so dilapidated and threatened the safety of the occupants of the buildings. In some instances, they were just on the verge of collapsing on the children. So swift action had to be taken. That does not mean that it was devoid of the possibility of engaging the proper process. What we have now done is we have set up a system, first of all, to assess where we are, what is required to be done. We did a national survey of all schools. We did a national survey of all book supplies, furniture, everything in the last 2 months, and those surveys are in. So we know on a spreadsheet exactly what schools require what. And so we are going to be proactive so that we identify the areas that need greatest attention in the shortest time. And then we're going to engage the procurement process. And a review system has been set up where every 2 weeks we will meet in the ministry to review the processes in place, at what level they are, what stage is the development, what is the likely completion date, the cost, and how it was arrived at. And we will also engage the process of internal assessments and estimates prior to the invitation of contractors to bid on the jobs. We have to get to the point where we bid on these jobs so that we can assure through that process of getting the best value for money. So the entire way in which this particular area of the ministry was run has changed, with new policies, new procedures, and with the monitoring mechanism under the acting permanent secretary, who will ensure that there are no breaches in the future. All the applications to the parish councils, fire brigade, and all the rest of it will be undertaken, and it is to start. In fact, it has already started, and it is to be completed. The process, we hope, will be completed in time for September, where the repairs will be undertaken during the summer holidays, so that when the children come to school, they come to school in an environment that is conducive to proper learning. Another question there, my friend. You're
Yes,
talking,
Tona
talking
has
to your
a
little
question.
friend there.
Tona.
Good
yes.
morning, Tona from Nationwide. I have a question in relation to Edna Manley. I wanted to find out what overhaul plans does the ministry or the government have to address the issues at Edna Manley. Tona Thomas.
Tony, I'm
What?
looking for you.
Right.
What is that name?
You want me to repeat?
Yes.
No problem. So what overhaul plans does the ministry or the government have to address issues at Edna Manley? So overhaul plans.
Well, now, that question is a question that has to be addressed in conjunction with the board. Edna Manley is run by a board that has the responsibility of managing Edna Manley. As Minister of Government, I don't even think the permanent secretary has the authority to implant ourselves on the management of Edna Manley. Once we detect that there are deficiencies that rise to the level of great concern, and we can intervene by convening a meeting with the board. But we give the board, under the structure, the authority to act on behalf of the ministry. As recently as coming here this morning, I spoke to the chairman of the board, and a letter is en route. I don't know if you've gotten it yet. She has sent a letter outlining certain findings and so on, and we will act on their recommendation.
Minister, I think Minister Grange wanted to chime in a little bit regarding that matter as well. Minister Grange, real quickly.
I just wanted to underscore the fact that we're moving speedily, we're moving expeditiously to have the sexual harassment legislation in place. We have already announced the members of the Joint Select Committee from the lower house, and within a matter of days, the members of the upper house will be announced, and we will convene the Joint Select Committee meetings and move expeditiously to sign off on the bill to ensure that we have this legislation in place, which will address sexual harassment in the workplace, where accommodations are involved, landlord and tenant, and also in institutions. We're also looking at how we will address the issue in the tourist industry. But we will be moving expeditiously to have that in place. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. And our final question this morning, Mr. Barrett from the Gleaner. Yes, go ahead.
Good morning. Good morning again, Minister. Laverne Barrett from the Gleaner. The circular from the Ministry of Finance.
Did you say
Laverne.
Oh, sorry, Liberate, Barrett.
I get it all the time, Minister. It's okay. The circular from the Ministry of Finance that speaks to government credit card, government credit card. It speaks to the limit that these cards are supposed to be. It speaks to the role of the permanent secretary in terms of obtaining approval from the financial secretary and so on. It speaks also to the need for monitoring of these cards. Can you indicate, one, if the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Education got approval for the card that was issued to the then Minister of Education? One, and two, can you indicate also if there were, based on the information that you have, if there were any breaches of the circular issued by the Ministry of Finance?
All right. I learned about this credit card thing yesterday en route to Parliament. The permanent secretary, who is the acting permanent secretary, was not the responsible officer at the time. She has only come on, like me, she's acting. So, but she seized up all the information that you need. I'm going to invite her to explain precisely what knowledge she has of the process and what is the management system that will guide us going forward. It will not apply to me because I have never had and I have no intention of ever applying for a government credit card. I don't know what that is like. I can hardly manage my own credit card.
Thank you very much, Minister. Just to say, Laverne, you have mentioned the circular, which is circular number 11, which was published in September 28, 2009. There is an approval that was given on September 29, 2016 from the Ministry of Finance, giving the former minister the approval to be the holder of this credit card. There is a monitoring system that the ministry has in place. The monitoring system means that once the credit card is used, the bills are submitted. There is a reconciliation that is done with the bills that are provided from the bank. This is checked off by the principal financial officer. She ensures that the limit on the card is not exceeded, and she will replenish based on the limit as is necessary. And the ministry currently has 2 credit cards. One that approval has to be sought by the permanent secretary before that one is utilized, while the one that is assigned to the minister, his office would have responsibility for the reconciliation to the principal financial officer.
Question though, of whether or not the circular says that the card is issued to the ministry and it can be either held by the permanent secretary or the minister. You're saying the minister had one for himself alone? Is that what you're saying?
The circular says that it can be issued to ministers of government, permanent secretaries, heads of departments and chief executive officers of executive agencies and public bodies.
All right, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Really, so Nick, we really have to wrap. So what we'll do is we'll take some after. Also, Minister Grange just did 2 minutes to recap all the issues concerning independence, and then, of course, we start that Hope Tour. We're a little behind the Hope Tour. Minister?
Yes, thank you, Naomi. I just wanted to quickly just ensure that everyone understands the schedule for the independence celebrations. Festival song is this Saturday, July 27, at the Randy Williams Center. On Sunday, we will have the National Church Service. That's Sunday the 28th at Faith Deliverance Center, Walton Park Road. On July 30, the Governor General's reception, which is strictly by invitation. And then we have the Jubilee on the 31st at Civil Heritage Park and vigils across the island. And then on August 1, we have August morning, Grand Market and breakfast in the village in Kingston, August 1 to 6, Independence Park. We have on the 2nd, World Reggae Dance. On Saturday, August 3, Mellow Around. Sunday, August 4, Gospel Song Finals. During the week at the Independence Village, we will have lunch hour concerts. On August 6, we have the Grand Gala. All these events are free except for Mellow Around and the Gospel Song Finals and the Festival Queen competition, as well as the Reggae World Dance. All the other events are free. Fashion theme this year is roots and culture, meaning that with the diversity in our culture, whatever is your roots, you can wear your sari, you can wear your African wear, you can wear whatever you identify with as roots and your culture. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to make one last point, that there is, MOCA has completed their investigations on irregularities at Institute of Sports. The matter has been referred to the DPP, and we are awaiting a ruling. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
No, Hopeton, You're a Jamaican and don't know what Melga Round is? May I invite you to ask just after? Minister Grange is available. But I cannot believe that you're a Jamaican and don't know what Melga Round is. Really? All right. Well, we'll tell everybody. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the media, for coming. Of course, you can contact the Office of the Prime Minister Communications at any point. And two, we do have the presentations on thumb drive. We'll be willing to alert you and give you copies and, of course, send the e-versions to you. Thank you so much for being with us today, and we'll see you in another few weeks, all right?